All right, so next up is the aquarium light hood. We went with something really simple. This is just a basic saltwater setup. We're not trying to keep corals or anemones or anything complex alive that's going to be photosynthetic and require a very strong light. So this is what we're going with, super basic, but it gets the job done. It'll keep the tank covered, prevent too much evaporation, make sure your fish don't jump out of the tank, and also provide a little bit of LED lighting, which is great for the electric bill. Included in the box, you're going to find the LED light, the clips, and the hood itself. So, it's different size clips. You're going to make sure you want to use the correct size for your aquarium. If the first one you try doesn't fit, just try the next size up or down, depending on whether or not it was too tight or too loose. So these clips are really easy to install. They've got a little groove here, which is going to sit on the inside lip of the aquarium. And then you're just going to roll them back so that this hooks underneath the outside of the trim on the aquarium. I'll show you what that looks like. So next, what we're going to want to do is knock these two panels out on the back. What these panels do is give you room for a hang-on filter. But since we want to have the input and output of the canister as far apart as possible on this aquarium, we're going to want to take both out so we can have them that far apart. Just give it a little bit of a back and forth, and it'll start coming out. Just like that. So now that we've got the holes punched out, we're going to just set this on the aquarium and then make sure we have the clips lined up. So you'll notice that these are inset, and right now our clips are all the way out on the border, but you can just slide them over to where they need to be positioned on both sides, and then you can just roll it back and clip them in. Next, it's time to put the light on. Now, you'll notice that there's already a cutout for the light, and it's got a clear plastic sheet to make sure that you don't ever get any water splashing up on the light fixture. It's really important for obvious reasons. You don't want salt water near electrical components that aren't designed to be inside of water. So here's your LED bar. Just open up the box here. You'll notice that the LED itself is there, wrapped in plastic, and then there's also the power supply. So you can just toss the box away. Got your little power supply. Just undo the little twisty tie. See, I didn't even have to look. There it goes. Just pull it all the way out. Make sure you don't pull on the cord too hard. Just want to try to get as many of these little ripples out as you can so that it'll make it all the way down to the wall at the back. So you can feed this just down the back of the aquarium, just like that. And then let the other part hang inside the aquarium while we take the light fixture out of the packaging. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da. There's your light fixture. It's got a rocker switch on the top. It's either off with both lights on or moonlights only. You'll notice that there are 3 white colored LEDs amongst an array of yellow colored LEDs. The yellow ones are actually white light, and the white ones are your blue moonlights, which actually look really cool with salt water. So we're going to just click this in place. We're going to take our little plug, and it fits right in this slot on the back, just like that. And your light is good to go. Okay, so before we get too much more involved with the equipment on the tank, this is actually the time that I like to put a background on. Now, you don't have to use a background if you don't mind seeing the cords and stuff down the back of the tank or the wall behind the tank, but personally, I would rather see something that's cool than just regular stuff behind the aquarium. So I'm going with a background, and normally I go with a realistic background, but because I'm going to make this tank a little bit themed and cool for a saltwater aquarium, since I'm not using natural coral, I decided to go with a pretty nifty, cool shark background, and it's a fairly well-known shark from a popular kids movie, so let's get this thing on there. Just make sure you don't bend the background at all while you're taking it out. You want it to be as flat as possible. There's our background, and just going to slide this off to reveal the background, which is actually going to be really cool. We've got a shark who's going to be staring at our aquarium inhabitants like they are lunch. but they are not. Fish are friends, not food. All right, so now we're down at tank level. You'll notice we've got stuff on the back of the tank that's going to be in the way, so be careful while you're working with it. You don't want to bend the background. Just a pro tip though, you can, if you'd like, instead of just taping the background on, use a background adhesive such as Seaview, which is a popular product. It's basically a type of oil that you put on the aquarium glass first that the background then sticks to. It makes the background brighter. It also means you don't have to use tape when you're putting the background on, and it's not permanent, so if you ever want to take the background off and change it to something else, you can. But since I just want to keep things nice and easy, I'm going to tape this one on. So now we've got the background on the tank. There's one more piece of crucial equipment to go on the aquarium, and that is a heater, because we need to keep the temperature around 76 to 78 degrees for these saltwater tropical fish. And I've also plugged the light in so you could see our shark better. It's pretty snazzy, right? Okay, let's go get that heater. First thing we're gonna do is just open up the lid. The light will stay in place there. Here's our heater. It's an Aquarium model heater. It's 50 watts, which is just perfect for our 20-gallon aquarium here. It's also got this rubber bushing on the bottom, and the reason I like that about this heater is that way you can't accidentally break it tapping it against the inside of the tank. And it also comes with a pair of suction cups and clips to hold the heater firmly on the glass. We're actually going to install this heater by the intake of the filter because there's a little notch right here for the heater's cord to go through and route down the back of the aquarium. So before we get the heater on there, we're going to have to get the suction cups assembled. So I'm just going to lay it on the bottom of the tank. You'll notice that the bracket has a little slot for the suction cup to go into, and the suction cup has a little nib on the end. You just slide it inside of that bracket like that, and then it'll just clip on the heater. I like to have the pilot light of the heater, which is right here above the 50-watt symbol, facing you. That way, when you plug the heater in, it'll turn on, let you know that the heater is working, and it'll go on and off as it heats the aquarium. While it's on, the heater is heating. When it's off, the heater's at temperature, and it does not need to heat at that moment, and then it'll remain off until the water gets cold and it needs to heat again. Now, it's important that you set it to 76 to 78 degrees. Somewhere in there is perfect. Set it now, that way you don't forget to do it later. Because suction cups don't really stick that well until there's water in the aquarium, I'm actually just going to let the heater hang there. The cord's keeping it nice and tight on there, and that's also why I haven't installed these intake and output yet. We'll do that once the aquarium's got a little bit of liquid in it so that they stay in place. Next up, it's time to get some substrate in the aquarium. I like to use Carob Sea's Arag-Live. It's a live sand of sorts. Basically, it's got some beneficial bacteria already in there. The sand is also in there with liquid, so you don't have to pre-rinse it, which is great. Pre-rinsing can take a little bit of time. The water will be a little murky when you fill up the tank because of the live sand. However, they also include some biomagnet clarifier right in there for you to help get that tank nice and crystal clear once everything's in there. So let's cut this open and get it inside the aquarium. Biomagnet clarifier. We'll be using this in part 4 of our video series once we've added our salt water. Next, I'm just gonna move the substrate around the aquarium, get it nice and even. I've used about 10 pounds of Arag-Live for this setup right here. If you'd like, you can always use a little bit more or a little bit less to suit your taste. You don't want to fill the tank up with substrate though. That doesn't look really nice. You're going to see a bunch of substrate in the aquarium. You're just going to get a little bit of algae between the glass and the substrate that you won't be able to clean. So try to use just the 10 pounds, but if you want to go with a little bit more, a little bit less, not a big deal.